there, this is Ruben from Dutch Round 1. Thanks again for stopping by, thanks for watching another episode. I appreciate the support. Today, what are we going to do? Well, today we'll take a look at a little bit of a complex grammar in the Dutch language. We will look at the separable verbs in Dutch. So first of all, I will explain you what is a separable verb. Then we are going to show how we conjugate the separable verbs, and I will show you the conjugation of the separable verbs in all tenses. The present tense, the past tense, the future tense, and then also the te plus infinitive structure. But before we do that, remember to give it a like, sign up for the channel, subscribe to the channel if you want more content. It's completely free and it would definitely help me out, and it's also great for the YouTube algorithm. But without much further ado, let's head straight for the separable verbs. Alright, so firstly, what are separable verbs? Now, separable verbs are a combination of a verb, a main verb, and a prefix. Alright, what is a prefix? Is basically something you put in front. The verb and the prefix can sometimes be separated in a sentence, but not always. Very important. Very important. And then you can make a comparison with the phrasal verbs in English, like to put on, to turn off, to turn on. So what I want you to remember is basically you have a prefix, so that is something which you can put in front. That can be with the separable verbs. Separable verbs, most of the time that will be a preposition, but it can be sometimes a noun, an adverb, or an adjective. Now, in general, of course, there's always exceptions, but let's say in general, the stress of the word, of the verb, lies on the first part of the verb with separable verbs. Now, what does that mean? Well, basically, the stress will be on the prefix. An example, uitleggen, schoonmaken, opruimen, opstaan. You see, so basically the stress lies on the first part of the verb. It is on uit, schoon, op, and op again. So these are separable verbs. What I want you to remember, okay, it's verbs which you can split up. There is a prefix and there is a main verb, and the stress needs to be on the first part of the sentence. In general, there are some exceptions, but if you remember this, then for 95% of the cases, you're sorted. Okay, so how do we conjugate these verbs in Dutch? Well, unfortunately, I have to give you the answer, it depends. It depends from the time tense you use in Dutch. So in this lesson, what we will do, we will tackle all the tenses in single sentences. Alright, not compound sentences. Single sentences, one subject, one verb. Alright, not compound sentences. For instance, a compound sentence would be I go to school because it's Monday, all right? We are only going to check the single sentences. If you're interested in finding out how we conjugate the separable verbs in compound sentences, then please take a look at the video which I've made regarding compound sentences. Also, if you want to freshen up on how to conjugate the verbs in Dutch, I've got a great video also on the conjugation of the verbs in Dutch. Now, what is important if you see a separable verb? Well, first of all, you have to determine what is the prefix and then find out what is the main verb. And if you can do that, then you're already on a good way. All right, and then basically we will start with the conjugation of the separable verbs. Now, the first one is the present tense. Okay, so as you can see, we have chosen the verb uitleggen, which means to explain. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to analyze this verb. And we check, okay, we see uit. Uit, in this case, that is the prefix and it's a preposition. Okay, and our main verb is leggen. Okay, so what do we do in the present tense? Well, we will put our main verb, leggen, in front, next to our subject. We will conjugate it, adapt it according to our subject. As you can see, jij legt. And what do we do with the prefix, preposition in this case? We put it all the way to the end in the sentence. As you can see, jij legt de grammatica uit. You explain the grammar. So very important, present tense, simple present, what do? You check, okay, the prefix is uit, leggen is my main verb, the prefix is going all the way to the end of the sentence, and the main verb is conjugated as a normal verb in the Dutch language. Okay, so we will continue now and we will go to the simple past or the imperfectum. Okay, so we check again, what verb did we choose? Okay, we have the verb schoonmaken. Schoonmaken means to clean. Okay, so we analyze the verb. Schoon is our prefix. Maken is our main verb. Okay, so schoon in this case is an adverb, can also be an adjective, and our main verb is maken. Okay, so now we are going to put this sentence in the simple past. Okay, in the imperfectum. Jij maakte de garage schoon. So as you can see, exactly the same like in the present. We put the main verb in front, next to the subject, we place it in the simple past, and then our prefix is going all the way to the end of the sentence. So simple present, simple past, main verb in front, prefix in the end. Okay, there we go. And then we are going to take a look at another time which we use to express the past in Dutch, and that is het perfectum, or the present perfect, or the equivalent of the present perfect in English. Now, which verb did we choose? Okay, we analyze the verb, we see klaar maken. Okay, so we analyze that verb. Klaar is our prefix, in this case an adverb again, and our main verb is maken. Okay, now we check the example. Jij hebt het eten klaargemaakt. Okay, something's changed there. It's not like the simple present, it's not like the simple past. What happened is basically we wrote them together again. We put our prefix in the beginning, where it's also when in the as in the infinitive, and then we will take the main verb. We check the main verb, it's maken, and we will put that main verb in the past participle. Gemaakt. Maken, ik heb gemaakt. I have made. Okay, so you use gemaakt, then you take your prefix and you put it in front. So that would be klaar gemaakt. Uitleggen would be uitgelegd. Opruimen, also to clean, opgeruimd. So you take your prefix, you put it in front, and then you look at your main verb and you put it in the past participle. All right? And then we go to the next one, the future. Well, the future is pretty easy because the separable verb stays in the infinitive. And if it stays in the infinitive, what is the infinitive? It's the verb in its purest form. Then you will not separate them. So basically, again, we have the verb uitnodigen. Uitnodigen means to invite. So we analyze the verb. Uit is our prefix. In this case, it's a preposition. And our main verb is nodigen. Okay? So the example in the future tense is jij zal jouw vrienden uitnodigen. Okay, so zal is our auxiliary verb in order to express the future. If you want to refresh your memory, check out my channel page. I've got a great movie also on how to form the future in Dutch. So please check that one out if you want to freshen up your Dutch memory. Alright, so jij zal jouw vrienden uitnodigen. So basically nothing changes. Exactly the same as with normal verbs. Zal, your auxiliary verb, which goes in front, and then your separable verb in the infinitive goes at the end of the sentence. Okay, and then we have the te structure. Now, first of all, we're going to check the verb which we have chosen. That is afwassen. Afwassen is to do the dishes. Right? Now we analyze the verb, we check, okay, our prefix is af, so in this case it's a preposition, and our main verb is wassen. Now we look at our example, and our example with that structure is vergeet niet de borden af te wassen. Don't forget to wash the plates. Alright, what is the te? Well, the te would be the equivalent of to in English. Don't forget to, vergeet niet de borden af te wassen. Now basically the te structure will always be with an auxiliary verb, and in this case it will be vergeet. If it's a modal verb, modal verbs are willen, kunnen, zullen, mogen and moeten, you don't need te. But with other verbs you will need to put that te in the end of the sentence, so that is what you put te there. And as you look at our separable verb now, you will see the infinitive, the main verb, the infinitive of the main verb we will put at the end, wassen, right? Then just before you have te, and our prefix will be just before te. So we split them up again. Vergeet niet de borden af te wassen. Alright, so this is how we use the separable verbs with the te structure. Okay, and then we also have separable verbs, okay, and we have inseparable verbs. The inseparable verbs, are a little bit tricky. Why? Well, basically because they look like separable verbs, but they are not. Now, how do we find the difference between both? Well, there's one general rule. Of course, there's exceptions, but if you follow the rule, you'll be correct for 95% of the cases. So that's already something. And then basically the separable verbs in general, as we said in the beginning of this video, the stress will be on the beginning of the word. As for instance, uitleggen. Okay? Inseparable verbs is the stress on the main verb, such as to sign. To sign is ondertekenen. Ondertekenen. As you can see now, the stress is on the second part. Of course, if you're learning Dutch, it's difficult to know if you have to put the stress the beginning or if you have to put it on the main verb, but this is the general rule. And don't worry if you don't get it straight away. After a while, when your pronunciation improves, when you get more and more of a feel for the language, you will also start to feel where you have to put the stress. But that is the rule, okay? So basically stress in front, separable, stress at the back on the main verb, then you will not separate them. So what does that mean? Not every verb which starts with a prefix, preposition, adverb, noun, and so on is a separable verb. You also have to take care and take note of the stress. Of course, there's exceptions. In every language there's exceptions, so also in Dutch there are exceptions, and the exception would be, for instance, be stofzuigen. Stof, so stof is dust, and then stofzuigen would be to vacuum clean. So you put your stress on stof, so you would think it's a separable verb, but it's not. It's an exception. All right? But these exceptions, unfortunately, they are there. I just want you to remember stress in front, separable, stress at the back, not a separable verb. All right? So that was the lesson for today. These were the separable verbs. I hope I made your life a little bit easier because I found many students struggle with these kind of verbs. So I hope you find some value in it. I thank you again for watching. I appreciate the support. Remember to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, write down in the comments what you're struggling with in Dutch, and I'll gladly make a video about it. And as for me, as always, keep it 100. Thanks for watching, and I can't wait to see you again for another episode of Dutch Round 1.